raising the bar, breaking ground.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Sander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. Promise to the masses, we were going to tee this off just about on time today. We're a couple minutes behind schedule, but we're a little bit on schedule. So we're going to be trying to run this the way we need to run this. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about that age-old discussion of why do men cheat. Now, ladies, I know y'all got a lot of opinions about this. So by all means, put your 2 cents in, put your comments in. If in the event that you want to come on to the show and give us an open discussion on that, you can click the mic, approve the camera, come on to the show in real time, and you'll be able to tell us what you think about this topic. Everybody got their own opinion. By all means, I'm ready for all of them. So remember that we are now going to be running the show live, apparently 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Well, no, actually, this is 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 10 o'clock Central Time. So be sure that you pay attention to that, set your clocks. It looks like we're probably going to make this our standard time based on the quantity of observations that we have over this 2-hour gap. So, you know, we're trying to get ourselves settled in. I know that after daylight savings time is over, it's going to roll us into, I do believe, the 9 o'clock time slot that we were in between January and June of 2024. So we're probably going to sink into this particular time slot and huddle a little bit good, which is kind of straight because we're right around the same time frame as Adult Swim. So, you know, just trying to keep us at that primarily adult viewership. Anybody can jump in and pay attention and communicate. But if you want to come on to the show live, you have to be over the age of 18. So let's just keep that in mind. And positive comments, even if we don't agree, we got to try to keep those comments remotely positive. I understand that everybody has their own opinion, but if you can formulate your opinion, no matter how negative it may be, if you can formulate it into an appropriate response, then by all means, we're good to stream it. So we are live 7 days a week. And as a man of my word, I have made it sure that we don't let the sun rise without us doing a live at least once every 24 hours or so. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into this very interesting topic about whether or not we have a complete understanding of if men cheat. So while we're diving into the psychology behind what causes this behavior, we're gonna come across some very interesting and intrinsic areas of this conversation that a lot of people have ignored. So men's cheating habits are a complex and sensitive topic that affects millions of relationships worldwide. And its issue that can cause immense emotional pain has been leaving us wondering what went wrong. But despite how common it is, there's still a lot of mystery surrounding why men cheat in the first place. So what are some of the common reasons attributed to why men cheat? Well, some women might say it's due to a lack of satisfaction in their current relationships, while others claim desires for excitement or a need for validation. Some women really just say that the men are less valuable simply because they're cheaters, and they're less worthy of relationships because they're cheaters. But the individuals with an open mind that are looking into why the cheating occurred in the first place can come up with some different responses. We've also heard classic excuses like she wasn't giving him enough attention, I was stressed, I was drunk, or simply I made a mistake. So from both sides of the fence, we've heard a lot of responses. But the reality is most men who cheat don't fit into a single category, and their motivations can be far more nuanced. In fact, research suggests that many men who cheat are actually content in their relationships, or at least they're not unhappy enough to leave. So what's driving their behavior? Is it a midlife crisis or a desire for power or something deeper? Well, hold on a second. Ah, whatever the reason, one thing's for sure: cheating is never just about sex. It's about a deep-seated need for something more. So many men also reported unfulfilled sexual desire as a motivating factor for cheating. About 14% of men, which counts for about 23,100,000 of the men in the United States, identified that as their main reason for infidelity, indicating that when emotional and sexual needs are not met within the relationship, they may look outside the relationship for satisfaction. When men experience a disconnect or lack of excitement in their sexual life, they might look outside the relationship for validation and satisfaction. And this desire for variant and novelty can lead men to seek affairs as a way to break monotony of their current relationships. So, one of the things that I expressed to you guys before, that those 20, 30, 50-year relationships, the marriages that last for almost a century, these are the ones that have, from either the male or female or both sides of the relationship, levels of infidelity, where at some point somebody's going to cheat, because this isn't just amongst men, but this is a commonality. Now, men leave women less than women leave men, because statistically speaking, men will leave a woman 30% of the time, and women will leave a man between 70 and 90% of the time, where the uneducated women leave 70% of the time, educated women leave 90% of the time. So that's most of them that get into a relationship leave, and the women leave because they're just not feeling it. But why do the men walk out of the relationship? So since 70% of men are hanging into these relationships until the women dip out, the fact is that we're looking at, more often than not, the men are going to hang into the relationship and then potentially have an affair in order to find balance in their relationship, as opposed to having the ability to work out some of the issues that are in the relationship that lead to the infidelity, which also stems us back to the statement that I've told people in the past when they say that, well, cheaters are just, lower valued, less respectable people. The fact is that it takes three people to cheat. It takes the person who's doing the cheating, the person who's involved in the affair, the person who's being cheated on. Because first person accountability, the person who's being cheated on has something that they did or did not do that contributed towards the desire to cheat. Because men are not just cheating on women just because they can, or at least not all of the men are doing that. We look at how some men confuse intense infatuation, which is lust, with love, leading them to believe that new romantic interests can replace deeper connections with their long-term partners. This is also going to stem from extended relationships, marriages, where the desire and attraction between two partners has faded, uh, sometimes due to the ability to be content with each other's presence and not put any effort into keeping the spice in the life of the relationship. But this desire for new and exciting uh, uh, engagements can drive them to cheat, as the men seek thrill associated with the new relationship. The excitement of potentially getting caught can also send a little area of thrill. You got some men that are just looking for something different, as opposed to the mundane that they've been experiencing for far too long. A significant number of men have cited unhappiness in their relationships as the primary reason for cheating. And this dissatisfaction can stem from a lack of emotional connection, neglect, or feeling unappreciated. And the lack of emotional connection can be the lack of a validation, of appreciation, and the lack of respect for the man. Neglecting the man's feelings and neglecting the man's values, devaluing the man can lead the man to feeling unappreciated, the lack of recognition for the man's efforts. So all of these things can lead to the man receiving this validation from somebody outside of the relationship. So consider this when you say that you don't need no man, but then you're in a relationship with a man. The value of the man is how much you need the man. So if you don't need him, you have no value in him. So why do you have him? That devalues your man. You do not show appreciation when you say that. So every woman that is in a relationship should never say, I don't need a man. You might not want one, you got one, but it's not that you don't need a man, because that's his whole purpose, is being needed. Your whole purpose is being wanted, because a man is supposed to be financially successful. So he doesn't need a woman to be financially successful. He does want a woman to have companionship. The women look for men that's more successful than she is, which means that the man is needed for a financial improvement. He might even be wanted for something other than his resources and assets, but he is needed for that financial stability, and then he's also needed for that physical security. So when a woman says that she doesn't need a man, well, one, she's lying to herself, but two, that is a toxic, narcissistic way to devalue and belittle the man that you chose when you allegedly chose somebody better than you that could do more for you than what you could essentially do for yourself, even though you could have found somebody on your level where they could have done less, or found somebody beneath you who you could have been doing more for him than what he's doing for you. Most women choose the hypergamy theory, where they aim for a man that is more successful than the woman is. So approximately 30% of men in the same study attributed their infidelity to being unhappy, which accounts for 49,500,000 men in the United States. So this is a very common situation. Out of, keep in mind, y'all, we've got about 355 million people in the United States, so about 49,500,000 people. It's a lot. It's a lot to say that this is going to circulate around into the single group. This is going to be viewing cheating as a means to escape or find solace. So when emotional needs are unmet, the temptation to seek affection elsewhere can become compelling. This dissatisfaction can stem from a lack of intimacy, communication issues, or feeling unappreciated. This is the same 30% of men that might end up leaving the relationship after a prolonged period of time due to an ongoing lack of happiness, where efforts from the partner to change or improve are not experienced. Men often cheat when they feel that their emotional needs are not being met. This includes the feeling of being controlled, disrespected, or not accepted for who they are. Now, women have this expectation that they want men to accept them for who they are, even though women portray themselves as something that they're not, with the fake hair, lashes, and makeup, and push-up bras, and lifters, and waist trainers, and butt lifters, and fillers, and Botox, and high heel shoes, and extendo fingernails, and all of the things that women do to change their natural appearance to be deemed attractive. And then the falsehood of being identified as a 10, when clearly it took you an excessive quantity of effort to make yourself look like what you claim to be a 10. You are not a 10 if this is not your natural look. And the natural look is like you were born this way, you roll out of bed and you look this way. The only thing you have to do is take a shower and walk out of the house with some clean clothes and you look this way. You don't have to put any makeup on, you don't have to put any effort into your appearance. This is your natural appearance. This way is natural. But if it takes you an hour to get ready because you got to put your face on, that's not natural. So we have to understand that women claim that they want to be accepted for who they are, and not um, perceived to meet the, I guess, novel expectations of society. But the fact is that the women commonly portray themselves as something that they're not. Now, men don't have the ability to change themselves. They shave or have facial hair, have a haircut, or carry long hair. Some have their hair properly maintained. Some have their hair a little bit more rugged. They either have long sleeve clothes on, short sleeve clothes on. That's about it. The difference between a man with cowboy boots on, closest thing to heels you're going to see a man wearing, versus work boots, which is the closest thing to a 3-inch lift that you're going to get besides flats with sneakers. That's it. That's all of the expectations that you get out of a man. If they're heavy set, they're heavy set. If they're skinny, they're skinny. If they're bulked up from going to the gym on a regular basis, then they're bulked up. There is not much left to change. But a man, as natural as he is expected to change things that he doesn't have the control of changing. For example, a man is expected to have a specific skin complexion, a specific height, a specific weight class. And if he doesn't meet these expectations, where men do not change body weight the way women change body weight, then he's not going to be considered an option unless he makes a significant quantity of money to overrule those expectations. So a lack of appreciation and emotional support can drive men to seek validation and connection elsewhere. And the need to feel desired and valued plays a crucial role for their motivations, which means that a lot of women are going to be self-sabotaging their relationships when they're doing that waiting to exhale behavior about how they don't need no man and devaluing the man that they have, and making all of these claims about how the man that they chose is worthless to them. Or at least if they're putting on this role in front of their homegirls and then going back to the house and playing a different role for their husbands and their boyfriends. The fact is that if you are devaluing your man, then your man is going to feel unwanted and unappreciated, and he's going to self-preservation style perform actions to validate his own personal existence. Ladies, that you guys have post a lot of social media posts, thirst traps, where you have provocative photos of yourself online from before you started dating a man, and then you start dating a man, but you keep posting these provocative photos of yourself to continuously get the positive compliments from the thirsty individuals that are not in a relationship with you. But the fact is that the entire time you're doing that, you are just disrespecting your man. He can't ask you to stop because you're your own person. You're going to do whatever you want, but that devalues your man. Now, you don't want your man to be looking at other women that are portraying themselves in this manner, but you're continuing to portray yourself in this manner. You can't be part of the problem and then try to make a solution of him not succumbing to the same activities. Truthfully, if a man can help it, you should be able to find a woman that is not portraying herself all over social media as a thirst trap. And if you can find that, then you want to stick to that particular type of person, because social media has a negative impact on the dating game already. But if in the event that you do find one that through the internet, then by all means, you need to make sure that there's an understanding that if this relationship is going to progress, that her photos are going to have to be less thirst trap and more like Michelle Obama style. Just gonna have to be honest with you. Now, for some men, cheating can be linked to a desire to regain control or dominance in their relationship. And those who have felt controlled by their partners in the relationship may seek to assert their independence through infidelity. This need for conquest and feeling like a winner can drive some men to cheat when they feel inadequate or unfulfilled in their primary relationship. So a lot of these women that are uh, controlling their men by, you know, you got women that are putting GPS trackers on men and stalking the men for the most part, that you're not doing it for the sake of making sure that your man's okay. You're doing it for the sake of making sure that he is where he said he's going to be. And that micromanaging of the man is very controlling in an unnecessary fashion. We have a lot of women that have demands that need to be met, and these demands are very assertive, where these women are not contributing to the relationship to the magnitude where those demands can not only be met, but also um, meet a higher level of expectations for the relationship in and of itself. When they feel the men are going to be in a situation where they often expect their partners to fulfill all of their emotional needs. And when the men are feeling unsupported or isolated, because women are not allowing men to be in relationships where the men can go and communicate and socialize with the general population. They're not allowed to communicate with women of any kind, especially women that the girlfriend is intimidated by. The men are not allowed to communicate with them, and sometimes the men are not allowed to hang out with certain friends where the male friends might encourage them to find better, where the man's value is recognized by his friends, his social group, and the man's value is being diminished by the female that he's dating, and the social group is saying, "Hey, you deserve better." Uh, Isolating the boyfriend or the husband from the society leads the man in a situation to feel isolated and or unsupported. They may result to cheating as a way of finding companionship and validation from others. And the absence of strong social connection outside the relationship can exacerbate these tendencies. Now, some men may cheat out of self preservation, seeking validation to boost their self esteem. Cheating can provide an ego boost, especially if they feel inadequate in other areas of their lives, such as being devalued by their partners. So, this need for affirmation can lead them to pursuing affairs, even when they have good intentions towards their primary partner. Some men may cheat as a response to trauma from previous relationships, unresolved issues from past relationships, or childhood experiences can also play a significant role. Experiences such as betrayal can lead them to adopt protective behaviors, including maintaining multiple partners to avoid vulnerability and abandonment. We have a lot of men that are currently in relationships right now where they have a girl and they have a backup girl, because women are so fickle that they have a lot of the women that are in the dating pool right now, not the women that are wife material that are in long-standing relationships. We're talking about the 70 to 90% of women that bail out of a relationship on a regular basis. We have these women that specifically will walk out of the relationship just because they're no longer interested in the relationship. Now, men will have a primary female that they're going to give most of their efforts to, and then a backup female, a secondary or tertiary woman, in case one of the women retire out of the roster. The man still has other options to choose from. Now, we also have a lot of women that claim that a man's insecurities and lack of capabilities to function in the relationship is going to be heavily based upon a man's ability to overcome past traumas. Now, when it comes down to these past traumas, we have to remember that When a man is dealing with past trauma, this is past trauma from another woman. So when you're dealing with a man that is dealing with past traumas from his childhood, you have to remember, for those of us that are in our 40s, 50s, and 60s, you have to understand that our generation had single mothers. So the past traumas from the child's childhood stems from women. So, ladies, the same way that men have to stand on their non negotiable expectations for behavior and not condone the overly sexualized behavior in order to have more classy and sophisticated women, the women have to stop psychologically and emotionally traumatizing their men and stop psychologically and emotionally traumatizing their boys so that they can have a dating pool that does not have traumatized men. In order for you to have a better crop, you've got to tend to that crop in a more effective fashion. All right. So whenever a woman says, "Oh, he's just doing that because he's traumatized," that's because a woman somewhere is doing the same thing that you're doing. That's the reason why he's coming into this relationship with a little bit more baggage than what he should. Men who have experienced trauma, such as emotional neglect or abuse, may struggle with intimacy and attachment in their current relationships. Additionally, patterns modeled by parents during childhood can influence adult behaviors regarding fidelity. This can lead them to seek out affairs as coping mechanisms to alleviate their unresolved feelings, which also means that if you grew up in a family where the parents cheat, then that's gonna be the reason why the family sticks together, is because there's a cheater in the relationship. Doesn't matter if it's dad, it doesn't matter if it's mom. If there's a cheater in a relationship and they work the marriage out where the children grow up in a conflictual environment, but at least both of the parents are still in the home, you can have a situation where you observe that cheating on your partner or being cheated on your partner is the way to maintain a relationship. That's not true. You also have broken homes where, because of the infidelity, the parents break up. There's this massive custody battle, or not. They're shared children. But the fact is that mom's got her relationship, dad's got his relationship, and sometimes even there's infidelity in those relationships. This type of observation can still lead to the observation that negative behavior in relationships is how adults cope when their children involved. That's also not true. You have the situations where separation or divorce happens, where the parents are fighting each other and mistreating each other, and they stay together, but there's always a lot of conflicts. The children can grow up believing that toxic relationships are the way to maintain a positive relationship, which also could develop into a type, because typically individuals, male or female, are attracted to the type of relationships that are embedded into their moral compass, which are primarily the ones that they've experienced in their childhood. You typically, as much as you say that you want somebody that's not like your parents, you typically find yourself attracted to somebody that is equivalent to your parents. That's just how things go, whether you recognize that or not. So the fact is that if your type is always a toxic relationship, that's probably because you're attracted to toxic relationships. And that means that you would have to then recognize that and start looking for somebody that is not your type. And that might lead you with more positive results. So, as I explained earlier, social media has also been blamed for the rise in infidelity due to the increased accessibility to a lot of different uh, options in your DMs, providing endless opportunities to connect with others and feed our desires for excitement and validation from both sides of the relationship. But the question remains, are men simply wired to cheat, or is there something more at play? Delving deeper into the psychology, social, and emotional factors that contribute to men's cheating behaviors, research suggests that childhood traumas, low self esteem, and even narcissistic tendencies can all play a role. Furthermore, societal pressures to conform to certain ideals of masculinity can also drive men to seek validation outside of their relationships. Expert opinions also suggest that men who cheat often struggle with intimacy in emotional connections, using extramarital affairs as a way to avoid dealing with their own emotional pain. This lack of emotional intelligence can lead men to prioritize their own desires over the well being of their partner, causing immense harm in the process. On the other hand, though, some researchers argue that men's cheating habits can also be symptoms of deeper relationship issues, such as a lack of communication or unresolved conflicts. In these cases, a problem isn't necessarily the cheating itself, but rather the underlying dynamics of the relationship that led to the infidelity in the first place, which is one of the reasons why I have always said on the show that if in the event that whether you are a male or a female, you're in more than one relationship where somebody is cheating on you. The first one can be an outlier and say, oh, that person is, less valuable or less loyal or less dedicated or in some way, shape, or form a bad person because the first one did it. But when you have a second, a third, a ninth, you have to stop and ask yourself, what are you doing to contribute to being cheated on multiple times? It is not just simply the fact that you selected the wrong person. If the common value in every relationship you're being cheated on in is you, then you need to figure out what you're doing or what you are not doing that is contributing to the fact that you personally are continuously getting cheated on. Because it can't be everybody's fault if you're the common factor in every scenario that it happens in. So, one of the most surprising insights about men's motives for cheating is that it's often not about the other person at all. In fact, many men who cheat report that they're not even attracted to the person they're cheating with, which is one of the reasons why some men can have a drop dead gorgeous woman and they will cheat on that woman for a woman that is less attractive and less desirable, simply to draw the thrill of the affair itself into their lives. Some men will do it just to draw the validation and appreciation and respect from the other woman. So the woman doesn't have to be overly attractive in order for the man to have an affair with her. A man can have an affair with a woman that will respect him, appreciate him, and value him as a man. Some of the main components that women these days are forgetting that they are required to do in order to maintain a man. When we also understand that the women are right now protesting men, and you have to remember that whenever a woman decides to clock out of her womanly duties in a relationship, you also have to understand that you're opening the gateway for infidelity, because what you will not do, another woman will. And when a man is emotionally and physically unfulfilled, when you expect the man to be monogamous the entire time that you're on strike, the fact is that his needs are not being met. And while his needs are not being met, your financial needs are being met, and your physical security is also being met. So his responsibilities, his masculine responsibilities as a man, is being fulfilled, even when you don't feel like fulfilling your feminine responsibilities. Eventually, your relationship is going to have a level of discomfort, and that level of discomfort could then manifest deceptive behavior. So, this raises an important question. Are men's cheating habits more about the desire for freedom and autonomy than we've previously thought? Or are men just out there doing it because they want to have more women than they can juggle, the same way Ash had more Pokemon than he could fit in his pocket? We have to understand that men's cheating habits is crucial for building healthier relationships. And while reasons behind infidelity are complex and varied, they often revolve around unmet emotional, sexual, and needs, and the past traumas and the dynamic of personal relationships. By recognizing the complex factors that drive this behavior, we can work to create stronger bonds that build more trust, communication, and emotional intelligence. Furthermore, while good men may have strong moral values, various emotional and relational factors can even motivate the most devoted of men to cheat. Understanding these motives can provide insight into why some men choose to cheat despite the potential consequences. So, with everything that we've discussed so far, why do you think men cheat? And if you guys have thoughts and opinions, by all means, please leave those thoughts and opinions in the topic, the subject below in the comment section. If you guys have any stories you would like to share, please do so. If you're new to the podcast, take the time to go ahead and extend your subscription to the channel so that you can get more insight on more stories. And if you want to learn more about building stronger relationships, be sure to check out the videos that we have on top signs of emotional unavailability in men, because that's something we're going to be looking into coming soon. And you guys will be able to work on your ability to strengthen your relationships and work on your ability to fasten a stronger and deeper connection than the ones that we are used to seeing in the past. If we understand that these days we are having a larger quantity of relationships that are more designed for short term in the 2 to 3 year fashion, we can come to understand that the areas of cheating is clearly coming from the lack of effort into the relationship from both sides, reducing the area of success. One of the reasons why relationships are lasting 2 years, 2 years, 6 months, 2 years and 9 months at the most is because the effort isn't there. The compromise and communication isn't there. It's not just one side, it's both sides. Because if one side is trying harder than the other side, then the side that's trying the hardest is going to be the one that's going to fall out sooner than the one that's not trying enough. We need to remember that there's got to be a lot more effort into the relationships these days that allows for us to be able to be more successful. With that being said, that is all I have for today's topic. We had us a pretty brief concept today. We wanted to cover, and now that I think about it, I am going to have to make sure that follow-up is going to be up there for next week's show. So you're going to see me going into the ability to extend next week's shows for the current topic. And, we're going to be able to see what else we can do in our relationships in order to make our relationships more successful. With that being said, we are live 7 days a week. Make sure that you check us out. We are going to be marinating on this 10 o'clock Central Time, which is 11 o'clock Eastern Time, and I do believe 7 o'clock Pacific Time. So just keep an eye out for us. Make sure that you like and subscribe. If you follow us on Twitch and Twitter, make sure that you hit that follow button. I want to give a special shout out because I see you guys popping in from the Twitch area. So special shout out to those: Max the Poser, Ruderus, Reese Martinez, Liberty Twitcher, Mr. Pibbs, Light Blue, Red Void, Omni 81, Silly Emma. We really appreciate you guys for coming to the podcast. We also want to throw out some special shout outs on our way out here for those countries because we got countries around the world that's been tagging in on us. So I want to give a special shout out to Romania and Brazil, Philippines, Indonesia, Canada, Mexico, South Africa, Australia, Germany, India, United Kingdom, Vietnam, and Russia. Russia is watching us way more than anybody else outside of the United States. So I got to say that was very impressive. So we really appreciate you guys for coming to the show. And you just make sure that you guys remember that we are live 7 nights a week. And we're going to be trying to make it a habit to slide in here at about 10 o'clock Central Time. So for those of you that are really interested, actually, the way you guys are starting to roll in 40 minutes into the show, we might want to start the show at like 10:30 Central Time. But as we get our time slots ironed out, just note that we're going to be localizing within this hour as our start time so that you guys will be able to get a full show every day of the week. Now, if in the event that you miss our show, just remember that you can check out the live show, the post release on the channel every day of the week, right after the show goes off the air. So you'll be able to see what you missed. If you're jumping in on the back end, you'll be able to see what you missed from the beginning, and you'll be able to roll in your comments and your questions about it. And we could potentially take the responses that you give after the show and bring them up onto the next show on the next day that we address the same topic. So you're never out of the loop. Just got to make sure that you like and subscribe and follow us for future videos, since we are live 7 days a week. So we really appreciate you guys coming to the show today. And we encourage you guys to dip in earlier in the night, because we are going to be, like I said before, trying to start about 45 minutes from now. At the latest, we probably would start about 15 minutes ago and try to get everything in there. So I want you guys to remember, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking y'all to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. And fellas, if in the event that you don't succeed, you got to keep trying. So I want to make sure that you guys know that it's not over, that there's a lot of effort that we have to put into this situation. And I really appreciate you guys coming to the show. So fellas, thank you for coming to This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I'm your host, Xander, and I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Central.